It's April 29, 1992, and downtown Los Angeles transforms into a war zone under a sky choked with smoke. Glass shatters as a roaring crowd smashes storefronts, the sharp crack echoing off brick walls, looting everything from flat-screen TVs to worn sneakers, their hands grabbing at anything within reach. Flames lick the sky as a liquor store on Florence Avenue goes up in smoke, the heat warping the air, while a man with a baseball bat swings at a parked car, yelling, "They can't! Ignore us now!" with a voice raw from shouting. Sirens wail in the distance, a faint, desperate sound drowned by the chaos, but the police are nowhere to be seen, their absence a void that fuels the rage. A woman, her face streaked with tears, clutches her child, close, shouting, "Where's the help? We're on our own," as she ducks behind a burning dumpster. A news helicopter hovers overhead, its blades thumping like a heartbeat, capturing it all. Hundreds clashing with anyone in a uniform, turning streets into a battlefield where tires burn and fists fly. This chaos exploded because a jury in Simi Valley just let 4 LAPD officers walk free after beating Rodney King senseless on camera. A grainy video that showed 56 baton strikes, his cries of "Please stop" ignored as officers laughed. That verdict lit a match to years of frustration. Police brutality, economic neglect, racial tension, igniting a 6-day inferno that left 63 people gone, 2,383 hurt, and a city scarred. Fast forward to 2025, 33 years later, and a new investigation stirs the embers. Forensic teams unearth a forgotten audio recording from a 1992 news van, its static-filled words hinting at a silenced witness. Did someone cover up a key piece of the puzzle? Officer Daniel Ortiz, a retired LAPD officer from that night, sits in his living room, his brown eyes distant, his hands holding an old badge, muttering, "I heard things back then, things they buried." The tape raises questions. Was the violence orchestrated? Or did officials miss a lead that could have saved lives? This is a story of a city's breaking point, a legacy of loss, and a mystery reignited with clues that demand answers. Stick around to uncover the twists that turned a courtroom decision into a cry for justice, and what 2025 might finally reveal. Let's rewind to the months before April 1992, a time when Los Angeles simmered with unrest. The streets of South Central alive with the rhythm of daily life. Children playing hopscotch, vendors selling tamales, yet shadowed by a growing frustration that hung like a storm cloud. Rodney King, a 25-year-old black delivery truck driver with a quiet demeanor, was cruising down a quiet LA freeway after a long night, the hum of his engine a rare calm in his routine. Suddenly, red and blue lights flash behind him, cutting through the darkness. "Pull over!" An officer barks through a megaphone, his voice sharp and commanding. But Rodney panics. Maybe he'd had a few drinks. Maybe he feared another rough stop, flooring the gas into a high-speed chase that ends with him stumbling out of his car, hands raised, his breath ragged. What follows is a swarm of LAPD officers, their boots pounding the pavement, shouting, "Get down!" But before he can comply, batons rain down. A bystander, George Holliday, a plumber with a new video camera, records it all from his balcony, the lens shaking as he captures 56 blows, Rodney curling into a ball, his cries of "Please, stop!" piercing the night, while officers laugh. In the background, their voices cold and detached. The tape, grainy and raw, hits TV screens nationwide, showing a man bloodied, teeth cracked, skull fractured, a visual that stunned a nation into silence. How could they do that? A neighbor, Maria Gonzalez, gasps while watching the news in her cramped apartment, her hands covering her mouth, her brown eyes wide with disbelief. Her husband, Jamal Rivera, shakes his head, his voice low. "This ain't new. They've been roughing us up for years, stopping us for no reason." When the trial started in 1992, hope flickered that justice would come, prosecutors playing the video frame by frame. Rodney's lawyer pleading, "Look at him, he's no threat," with a voice thick with emotion. But the jury, mostly white, and from suburban Simi Valley, saw it differently. Their faces impassive as the foreman reads on April 29th, "Not guilty on all counts." The courtroom freezes, a collective gasp rising, while outside, a man on the street, Tony Jackson, throws his hands up, his voice booming, "Not guilty. After that, we're done." Within hours, protests turned violent, a fuse lit by a system that felt rigged, the streets erupting as anger spilled over. Lila Carter, 25 at the time, watched from her apartment window, her deep brown eyes reflecting the flickering streetlights. Her black hair tied in a braid with a beaded hair tie. Her hands clutching a worn jacket as she whispered, "This is it, they pushed us too far." This wasn't just about Rodney. It was decades of police stops, arrests and beatings in Black and Latino neighborhoods boiling over. Data later showing the LAPD had a history of 200 complaints in 5 years, most ignored. The verdict was the spark. But the fire had been smoldering in the form of economic hardship, gang violence, and a community crying out for change. Jamal Hayes, then 12, played basketball on those streets. His brown eyes sharp, his hoodie stained with sweat, his hands dribbling a ball as he overheard adults muttering about the latest police raid. "We felt trapped," he says now, his voice young but firm, his hands gesturing to the cracked pavement, like no one cared. So what happened when those streets exploded into chaos, and how did a single tape ignite a city's fury? Keep watching to see how the anger turned LA upside down. As dusk fell on April 29, 1992, Los Angeles morphed into a different world, the horizon glowing with an unnatural orange as fires took hold. A young man, Carlos Mendoza, stands on a corner near Florence and Normandy, watching a mob smash a pawn shop window, the glass exploding inward with a deafening crash, his brown eyes wide with shock. "Take what you can," someone shouts. A voice rough and urgent, and soon people stream in, their hands grabbing guitars, jewelry and cash registers, the clatter of loot filling the air. Across town, a grocery store owned by Mr. Kim, a Korean immigrant with tired eyes and a determined jaw, goes up in flames, the heat warping the air as he cries, "My life's work!" His hands grabbing a hose, but the water pressure fails, leaving him to watch helplessly as flames consume his shelves. Gangs roam, pulling drivers from cars. One man, Eddie Torres, a delivery driver with a panicked expression, gets beaten while onlookers cheer, "That's for Rodney!" Their voices a mix of triumph and rage, the thud of fists against flesh, audible over the chaos. The air thickens with smoke, a bitter taste coating tongues, as 2,000 buildings burn, casting an orange glow over the city, the skyline a war zone under a darkening sky. Helicopters buzz overhead, their blades thumping like a relentless drumbeat. But on the ground, it's every person for themselves, the sound of shattering glass and distant screams, blending into a symphony of disorder. Police radios crackle. "We're outnumbered. Fall back." The static cutting through an officer's tense voice as units retreat, leaving neighborhoods defenseless, their blue uniforms vanishing into the haze. A woman, Lisa Nguyen, drags her 2 kids inside her apartment, her hands shaking as she whispers, "Stay low! They're coming!" her voice breaking as she peers through cracked blinds at the flames outside. By day 2, 63 people were gone. 2 Asian, 28 black, 19 Latino, 14 white. A multi-ethnic toll that stunned the nation. 383 were hurt, from broken bones to burns, their cries echoing in hospital corridors. Amid the madness, glimmers of hope. Shine, a group of teens led by Marcus Lopez, forms a human chain to protect an elderly neighbor's home, their young voices calling, "We ain't letting this destroy us!" as they link arms, their hands steady despite the danger. But the violence overshadows it. Stores looted, cars flipped, and a sense of lawlessness that shocked the nation. The streets a canvas of destruction, painted with anger. Officer Daniel Ortiz, then a rookie with the LAPD, recalls patrolling near Watts, his brown eyes scanning the chaos, his hands gripping his baton, his voice gruff. "We were told to hold back, orders from above." Why did it spiral so fast? Some say the police pullback was a blunder, a miscalculation by Chief Daryl Gates. Others whisper it was a quiet nod to let the anger vent, a strategy to let the community exhaust itself. This would lead to something even more horrifying that we'll get to later in this video, a delay that cost lives and left questions unanswered. For now, let's dive into what kept the cavalry from riding in when it mattered most. Day 2 of the riots, April 30th, 1992, and the streets of LA are a mess. The air thick with the acrid smell of burning rubber and the sharp tang of tear gas. A shopkeeper, Mrs. Nguyen, peers out her window, her hands trembling on the sill, her voice cracking. "Where are the cops? We need them," as she watches looters smash her neighbor's store. But the LAPD is stretched thin, their radios crackling with desperate calls. "We can't hold the line." An officer's voice breaking through static, his hands fumbling with his gear. Chief Daryl Gates, a figure with a stern face and grey hair, appears on TV from a command center, his voice steady but unconvincing, promising action. "We're bringing order back." Yet his forces are scattered, their blue uniforms lost in the smoke. Finally, on April 30th, Governor Pete Wilson steps in, his voice booming over a press conference. "We're sending help," as he orders the National Guard to mobilize, his hands signing the decree with a flourish. Trucks rumble in, loaded with 10,000 troops, Guard members in fatigues with rifles slung over shoulders, U.S. military in Humvees with their engines growling, and federal agents with shields gleaming under helicopter lights. A soldier, Private Lee Kim, mutters to his buddy as they unload. "This ain't training, this is real." His hands adjusting his helmet, his eyes wide with nerves. Helicopters circle, dropping tear gas canisters that pop with a hiss, while tanks roll down freeways, once clogged with traffic, their treads leaving marks on the asphalt. But it's too late. By then, billions in damage, over $1 billion, is done, storefronts reduced to skeletons, and the city's morale is shattered, the sound of breaking glass replaced by an eerie silence. A resident, Tom Rivera, yells at a guard unit setting up a barricade, his hands waving furiously. "Where were you yesterday? My brother's gone because of this." The delay sparks rumors. Some say Gates misjudged the scale, his hands on the phone too slow to call for backup. Others whisper it was a quiet nod to let the anger vent, a decision made in backrooms to let the community exhaust its fury. Officer Daniel Ortiz, patrolling that night, recalls the orders, his brown eyes heavy, his hands gripping the steering wheel. "We were told to wait. Higher-ups wanted to see how it played out." The troops restore order by May 4th, their boots marching in unison, but not before the toll mounts, 63 gone, their faces fading from memory, 383 injured, their groans filling hospitals. One officer, Sergeant Ramirez, stands by a burned-out block. His hands on his hips, his voice low. "We saw bodies, people caught in the wrong place, kids even." Yet the late arrival leaves a bitter taste, the streets littered with debris and unanswered questions. What kept the authorities from acting sooner? A tactical error, a political gamble, or something darker? And who suffered because of it? That's coming up next. South Central LA takes the hardest hit, the streets a graveyard of dreams under a sky still hazy with smoke. A mother, Aisha Jackson, watches her block burn, her hands shielding her face, tears streaming down her cheeks. As she whispers, "My kid's school is gone," her voice breaking with every word. The school's charred remains, a stark silhouette against the dawn. Nearby, Mr. Park, a Korean shop owner with tired eyes and a determined jaw, stands on his roof with a rifle, shouting, "I'll protect what's mine!" His hands gripping the weapon tightly, his store a beacon of defiance until flames consume it, the crackling fire a sound that haunts him. His business, like hundreds of others, is torched. 2,000 buildings destroyed, mostly minority-owned. The economic loss a blow that echoes for years. The riots aren't just race against race. They're about poverty and neglect, a community pushed to the edge. Aisha's neighbor, Juan Martinez, lost his job when his factory was looted, his hands empty as he surveys the wreckage, sighing. "We had nothing to start with," his voice heavy with resignation. The factory's broken windows, a symbol of lost livelihoods. Korean Americans, many first-generation immigrants with dreams of stability, lose millions, fueling tension with Black and Latino neighbors who felt the stores overcharged them, their hands pointing at price tags in heated arguments before the violence. Yet resilience emerges from the ashes. A group of teens led by Marcus Lopez organizes a cleanup, his young voice calling, "We're not letting this beat us," as he hands Aisha a broom, his hand steady despite the soot on his face, the group's determination a flicker of hope. Churches open doors, offering food and shelter, the smell of donated rice filling the air, while Mr. Park later joins a peace march, his hands holding a sign reading, "Heal LA," saying, "We must heal together." His voice soft but resolute. The scars are deep. Economic loss estimated at $500 million for minority businesses, distrust etched into every glance, but the seeds of unity sprout, hands reaching across divides. Elena Morales, a 17-year-old in 1992, now 50 and a community archivist, sorts through old flyers in 2025. Her hazel eyes scanning the past, her hands turning pages. "We lost so much, but we found strength too." Could this have been stopped? Some point to years of ignored complaints about police roughness, 200 filed in 5 years. Most dismissed, suggesting a systemic failure that fueled the fire. The answer might lie in a surprising turn we'll explore next, a clue that could rewrite this history. After the smoke cleared in May 1992, a commission dug into the rubble, their voices carrying hope for change. Warren Christopher, the chair with a calm demeanor, announces at a press conference the LAPD needs fixing. His hands holding a thick report, citing years of rough tactics, over 200 complaints in 5 years, many from minority neighborhoods. New rules roll out, more training, community oversight promised, body cameras proposed, changes meant to bridge the gap. An officer, Lieutenant Hayes, nods during a briefing, his hands adjusting his badge. "We're learning, but it's slow," his voice tinged with uncertainty. But did it stick? Fast forward to 2025, and anti-ICE protests in LA echo the past. Crowds clash near a detention center chanting, "Let them go," their hands waving signs. An agent, Officer Diaz, pushing back, "Stand down," his voice firm as scuffles break out. A protester, Sam Rivera, shouts, "Same old story." His hands clenched, his eyes flashing with anger. The scene, a mirror to 1992's breakdown. Studies from the UCLA Civil Rights Project show police reform slowed, with complaints still high, 1,500 in the last decade, suggesting the roots of inequality and distrust linger. The 1992 riots push change, but the progress falters, the same streets still simmering. Elena Morales, now 50, sits in her archive, her hazel eyes reflecting on old news clippings, her hands sorting documents. "We tried, but the system fights back." This brings us to a twist, how a decades-old event still shapes our streets, and what new evidence from 2025 might change everything. Stay tuned to see where this road leads. a path that could unearth buried truths. It's June 2025, and LA buzzes again, the air thick with the sound of chants and the sharp crack of police batons. Protesters surround an ICE van near downtown, their voices rising, "Let them go!" Hands waving signs with bold letters, the crowd a mix of young and old, their faces set with determination. An agent, Officer Diaz, pushes back, his hands on a shield. "Stand down!" His voice cutting through the noise as scuffles erupt, the pavement scuffed with struggle. Clashes intensify, and 118 are arrested, their hands cuffed behind backs, the National Guard rolling in with Humvees, a scene hauntingly familiar to 1992's chaos. A resident, Elena Morales, watches from her archive window, her hazel eyes narrowing, whispering, "Not again," her hands pausing on a 1992 photo. Reports show 3 officers hurt, bruises and a sprained wrist, but no one gone, yet the tension mirrors the breakdown of trust from decades past. The riots left a blueprint. When people feel unheard, chaos follows, the same streets echoing with the same cries. Dr. Marcus Reed, a 39-year-old forensic analyst with sharp green eyes, stands in a lab, his hands sifting through evidence. His voice calm. "We found an audio tape from a 1992 news van. Someone mentions a silenced witness. The tape, buried in archives, captures a reporter's hurried words. They took him out, orders from up high, a static-filled hint at a cover-up." Lila Carter, now 58, listens, her brown eyes widening, her hands clutching her beaded hair. "Ty, could this be true? Did they hide something?" Jamal Hayes, 45, rallies the community at a meeting, his brown eyes fierce, his hands holding a microphone. "We deserve answers. 63 lives demand it." The tape raises questions. 23 unsolved cases, a possible recording erased, suggesting a conspiracy tied to police overreach. Officer Daniel Ortiz, 48, sits in his home, his brown eyes heavy, his hands holding an old badge. "I heard rumors back then. Someone knew more than they let on. What new clues will surface? And will they finally bring justice to the 63 lost? That's the big question we'll wrap up with in just a moment. From a beating caught on tape to a city in flames, the 1992 LA riots were a thunderclap that still rumbles today, a story etched into the concrete of South Central. 63 lives lost, 2 Asian, 28 black, 19 Latino, 14 white. A diverse toll that speaks of a shared pain, thousands injured, their scars both visible and hidden, and a community forever changed, its spirit tested but unbroken. The lessons? Better. Policing with 1,500 trained officers by 1994. Community strength with 500 rebuilt businesses by 1995. Offer a map forward, even as 2025 tests us anew with protests and arrests. The echoes remind us that healing takes time, but it's within reach when we listen and build together, hands reaching across divides as Mr. Park and Aisha now share a community garden, their voices soft with hope. The new audio tape, unearthed by Dr. Reed, hints at a cover-up, its static-filled words a ghost from 1992. They took him out, leaving 23 unsolved cases, a lingering mystery. Lila Carter reflects, her brown eyes moist, her hands on a photo. "Maybe we'll know who was silenced." Jamal Hayes speaks at a rally, his brown eyes blazing, his hands raised. "This is for the 63. Let's finish what they started." Elena Morales sorts through archives, her hazel eyes scanning, her hands uncovering a 1992 petition. The truth could set us free. Was the violence a spontaneous outcry, or did hidden hands guide its course, a conspiracy buried in police files? The investigation's open loop, did a cover-up protect the guilty, urges us to question justice, to demand answers from a system that failed. In 2025, as we mark 33 years, this story calls for accountability, better policing with real oversight, Better investigations with modern forensics, better healing with community voices heard. What do you think? Could this tape reveal a conspiracy? Or is it another dead end? Have you heard of similar cover-ups in other cities? Or do you have ideas to prevent such unrest? Share your thoughts below. We're eager to hear your insights to keep this conversation alive. Like and subscribe for more true crime mysteries, and explore our playlist for stories like Maynard Family to dive deeper into these narratives. Let's honor the 63 by seeking the truth, by pushing for change, by ensuring their legacy sparks a movement for justice across our cities.